We're going to go live on YouTube right now.
Shit.
Fucked. Who are we starting with? Dave?
Huh?
We starting with you?
Yeah.
Okay. Start and record on OBS. Going live on Facebook. Live on YouTube. Recording. Start recording on the mixer in 5, 4. And let's not do my ad. We don't have to do that. It takes away from the show. I'm doing just fine, I promise.
Your call.
All right. We're going to start recording in 5, 4, 3.
Welcome to Dave Talks Some More, the podcast at the intersection of humor and, Hey, I'm your host, Dave, and together we'll explore a riveting world of mundane topics with unparalleled indifference. So get ready for a riveting journey through, whatever. This is Dave Talks Some More. Hey, Far Out, thanks for joining us again. Yet again, here we go. I'm in a bad place right now. We always start by talking about the show, and what happens before the show is it takes us about 5 or 10 minutes to get everything set up, mic'd up, and the whole bit.
We call that the best part of our show.
It's the part where people are actually being original and funny, and we keep saying, we should have saved that for the show, but it's, the spontaneity is gone. But, so during that time, this idiot over here is showing me like, hey, let me show you a clip that got 18 million views, and we just recorded it yesterday. And I'm sitting, look, we're jazzed if we get a 50 view clip, and you're showing me something's got 18 million views that will by a guy who's on his second episode of podcasting. I mean, I'm in a bad place, man.
It was the blue hair. And the almost incomprehensible sentence structure.
Let's just say hair coloring may come into the mix in the next 7 days. Just see if that will push the needle towards Dave, just a little like, share, follow.
Dave, I will do anything that you require.
Well, how are you? I hadn't seen you in 3 weeks.
I guess I did miss last.
You missed the
episode, and I went on a trip.
Oh God! Well,
as I hold up my beaver nuggets that I got on the trip.
Yeah, you're really pushing for the Buccee's sponsorship. For anybody listening and not watching, we're featuring a Buccee's hoodie and Buccee's food items. And
it's beaver nuggets.
And what is this?
Ghost pepper beef jerky.
Hold that up for the camera so the camera can see there. A little bit over. A little bit.
Right,
there it is, right there.
Right there.
There it is.
It's the perfect combination with the beaver nuggets. You have the hot and the sweet of the beaver nuggets. It's perfection, just like Buccee's is generally.
Well, the ghost pepper, I'm guessing that's just like spicy beef jerky.
Well, would you like someday?
No.
Would you like to cough and gag the rest of the show?
Well, no. That's the problem. I'm not against beef jerky in general, but they price beef jerky basically the way they price steak. By the ounce, beef jerky costs more than steak, so.
Oh, it's true.
That kind of slows my roll a little bit.
$10 for a bag, and it's not that much of a bag.
Yeah.
But,
to get to a $50 steak, you get a 16-ounce $50 steak, and that you're basically chewing on a $175 steak in the form of Buccee's ghost pepper jerky.
But once you walk into a Buccee's, you just lose your mind.
Well, that's the problem is, apparently this stuff, for those of you who are already in on it, there's kind of a crack type situation that it's on your, I'm guessing it just gnaws at your mind when you're nearing a Buccee's that I've got to get my ghost pepper and what was the other thing? The corn nuts? What is that? It's beaver nuggets.
It's like what they're known for, other than You know, I also got a pulled brisket
Yeah, those are
sandwich.
How much was that?
I didn't really look at the
See,
receipt there, Dave.
That's what we're counting on.
I mean, yeah, it was just grab it and run, you know. And
All right, give me one of these.
oh yeah, you need to have a beaver.
I've
nugget.
never had a beaver.
Welcome
nugget. So
to
the things I'm
being-
going to do for this show.
Well, blue hair, beaver nuggets, whatever.
Yeah.
You are now.
Be sure to crunch it as close to the microphone as possible.
No, okay. So
have another one.
no, one's enough. Hang on.
Welcome to becoming a true American.
It's for those of you who haven't had a beaver nugget. It's basically the flavor of caramel corn. It's got an aftertaste that's not my favorite, and I'm trying to place what it is. And I'm having water to wash it away.
Oh my God! It's otherwise known as the greatest taste ever.
For somebody wearing a Bucky's hoodie, that's probably an accurate
I
description.
got Bucky's underwear on, Dave.
Well, there's some things we don't need you to do for the show. So, we're
want-
going to be okay on that.
You wanted
one.
clicks.
We want.
I'm just saying.
Well, that's that can be your Dave talks some more after hours episode.
Yeah,
subscription based only,
it is some of that European
and
underwear.
who knows what you're going to see.
That's a prescriber service that costs.
Yeah. Oh,
extra.
yeah. It's a heavy subscription. Your OnlyFans account subscription is not going to cover this. So, but y'all can record that in the privacy of me not being here. So have at it.
Fair enough.
By the way, speaking of addictive substances, I can tell you didn't listen to last week's debacle. It was brutal. It was, just me coming in here trying to fly solo, doing the best I could, praying to God that if I hit the 45-minute mark, I was going to be like, that counts. If I hit 45 minutes, I'm going to be okay.
I was hoping that y'all would miss me. I mean,
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Look, yeah. Guess how many downloads we had? 7. 7. Look, man, there are people standing on the street corner of Capitol Street that get that get a bigger audience, just street preaching than how badly it. But you got to keep the thing alive. And then the week before, we were going to have our special guest.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, but I got that cold and literally could not talk. So we lost that week. And then last week, all I can tell you is I did the best I could. I held down the fort. It was bad. I got overrun by the enemy, but I did make the 45 minutes. It does count as an episode. So,
and here we are.
And here we are.
America, we are back.
Yeah.
And all is well.
All's well. One of the things that the most interesting part of the show is either before the show or after the show to me, because I don't listen to the show as I've said. But something that happened during the show, I started talking about feeling like I was on meth, and you just have to listen. This is really my cheap ploy to get people to listen to a really bad podcast episode. I won't explain how it was that I felt like I was on meth, but I did. And I was describing what it feels like to be on meth. And I find out after the show that my description of what it's like to be on meth actually corresponds not at all to what it's like to be on meth. So anyway, I looked it up. Look. So you want to jump in on this? No? Okay. All right. Do what? Yeah. Yeah, look, I looked
Yeah,
it
you
up.
were talking about something that was awful. No, meth is incredible because it makes you feel like a Superman. Like, that's why people love it, is it's incredible. The consequences are extreme, though. That's the downside of it.
Well, I looked it up, and it turns out I have to preface this little thing by saying there's some people in this world who have never used drugs at all. I would be one. Well, make a face, but I am one of them. Never used drugs, and so I don't know how that would feel. I'm never going to use. However curious I am is never going to make me want to use drugs. But I am curious. I am curious. So I looked up the stages of the meth experience, starting with the rush and then the high and then the binge. And then I got to the part that I thought was very interesting, the tweaking. I've heard of tweaking. This is a condition reached at the end of the drug binge when the meth no longer provides a rush or a high, and unable to relieve the horrible feelings of emptiness and craving. You lose your sense of identity. You have intense itching. You feel like bugs are crawling under your skin. You can't sleep for days at a time. You are in a completely psychotic state, existing in your own world, seeing and hearing things no one can perceive. The potential for self-mutilation is high.
Marriage.
See, that's the state. Yeah.
That's like the third or fourth stage of marriage. What are you talking about? It's like a 4-year-long phase. That's what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Between 7 and 11 years or
Yeah.
something.
Yeah. Well, yeah. And then after that, you find somebody who's similarly situated. And the next thing you know, it's just that, you are in the tweaking world. That comes before stage 5, which is the crash. Phase 6 is the hangover. This is the one you'll love. The withdrawal symptoms. That's the 7 stages of meth. And yeah, without even rehearsing this with you, that's the same bit that I came up with. Is this reminds me of what being in a bad marriage is like. I'm living in a reality where bugs are crawling on my skin, and I have no correspondence to the physical world, and best of all, the potential for self-mutilation is incredibly high. Incredibly high. Take all my money? Sure. By all means, take it all.
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, we locked eyes on that one, and we just saw the same similarity there. But so you've never done any
Nothing.
drugs?
Well, the last legal drug. Yeah, I mean, I probably will have some of the last legal drug later tonight. But yeah. But as far as the illegal. Never, because I was raised Southern Baptist, which, I used to say I was raised strict Southern Baptist, but I'm not sure what the other kind is. And so I was told often and early that the first time that you smoke a joint, that's it. You've walked through the door, you can't come back, and the road to becoming just a full-blown, out of your mind addict is short and steep. And so, as a consequence, I went through 4 years at LSU, never took a drop of alcohol. That is a fact. So, very, I will say, strict Southern Baptist. So I never used any, but I had this curiosity. I've always had this curiosity about what must feel so great that you're willing to bust up into a house at 2:00 in the morning where the people as likely as not have firearms and will shoot you, but you're going to do it anyway so that you can get money. I mean, it must be pretty good. And so there's you're making a face. That's right. It is, the pluses are plus. It's just that the minuses are minus.
Yeah. I always figured I had a pretty addictive personality. Dipped Copenhagen for 20 some odd years. I mean, a can and a half. It was like I couldn't control. I mean, if I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it to the hilt. And so, I tried some not heavy duty drugs as a youth, and luckily, and it's by the grace of God, because I have a misspent youth that we've covered a little bit, but not in all that great detail. Oh my goodness. But drugs have no effect on me. Like I did it, and it to the point, none, and to the point of, and that's probably why. Well, you've sat there and watched me drink a few whiskeys in my day, and I'll sit there and I can.
You take it well.
I can throw some back, and walk right out. It just in a straight line. And it's even more compounded. I'll tell you how much they don't work, which is it comes back to our favorite topic around here is the colonoscopy. And so,
God.
I don't know why you bring it up every time, Dave, but you just insist on it. That's okay. We'll move past it.
We can never get away. We got to change the name of the show.
The colonoscopy podcast. Wow. That's got a ring to it. But no, because when I had a back surgery when I was young, I woke up on the operating table. When I had my root canal done, they couldn't.
Wait, you woke up on an operating table during a surgery?
Oh yeah, right there in the surgery
because the
table.
anesthesia had
Just nothing.
Ooh.
Yeah, it's a bad deal.
So what do they do when that
They
happens?
go, oh, he's supposed to be asleep. What's he doing? That's what they do. And when they pulled all my wisdom teeth out, I told you they're supposed to be out, but I walked to the car. And I was really concerned. That's looping it around to the colonoscopy. I was like, oh, no. I am not going to wake up. And I will be out on this one. I told the anesthesia, I told him all that story. I said, dude,
don't mess this one up.
If you got an error on the side, wake up or not wake up. I do not want to wake up. And he must have done well because, so yeah, so I never had any effect. When I was, teenager smoking marijuana or anything like that, I just was bored with it. So it never had any effect whatsoever.
Marijuana is as far as you'll publicly admit to.
But
That's
nothing.
fair.
It wasn't much dabbling because it had absolutely no effect. But I would be like the marvel of the high school party as far as drinking beer. I mean, there's that one guy that you go, I was that guy. I mean, just like how?
I mean, is it because you drank so much that you developed a resistance, or it's just
I was
your biology?
Biology. Yeah. It takes so much, either pain medicine, alcohol, whatever deadens whatever. It takes enormous amounts. It's like dropping an elephant, man.
Well, I will admit to being drug curious. So I've got it all mapped out. Whenever I get the final diagnosis, and you've got like 30 days to live. Yeah.
It's going to be a hell of a 30 days in a day.
I won't remember much of it, but it doesn't matter because there won't be a long time to remember it anyway because you only have 30 days. So that and all the people that I want to push out before me, I've got a long list going back a long way of that's right.
You need to probably catch it 90 days before.
90 days. Yeah, there's gonna be just a terrible crime spree, and after I get the second opinion that confirms the diagnosis, I've thought it through that far as like, what if I get the wrong diagnosis and they say you got 30 days, and it turns out you have 2 years.
It's the Breaking Bad scenario, Dave. I mean,
oh, that's right.
Yeah,
I hadn't even thought of that. Yeah. That show went on a long time for somebody who was supposed to die at the end of season 1. He must have gone into remission for a long. I stopped watching the show. I got to the point where I hated every single character, hated every single one.
How can you hate Jesse Pinkman?
He was an early one, like the one where he and the girlfriend, she was a cartoonist or artist or something.
Yeah.
And she, whatever, asphyxiated.
Yeah.
I was like, God, I hope it's both of them. And it was just her. And it was about that time that I was absolutely done with that show. Couldn't take anymore. By the way, I see advertised on FX that they're going to have the Shogun series. I'm really excited. Have you seen any of the previews? Have you noticed any of this? I'm incredibly excited about it. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, that was before my time.
Well, James Clavell wrote the novel Shogun, and it was a big hit in the 1970s. It was the first big book that I read that just went hundreds and hundreds of pages, and read it, and then it was a miniseries that was incredibly badly executed. Richard Chamberlain was the was the lead, and they had Orson Welles. This is a novel that's set in Japan, and they had Orson Welles. You know, the big Orson Welles, not the skinny Orson Welles. And it was just, you know, you got to be kidding me. So I think we talked about how good Lonesome Dove was in some episode. I don't remember. But it was a miniseries I really looked forward to, and it didn't work out. And now FX is doing it. And it's one of my favorite books of all time. I've read it any number of times. Yeah, I love this book.
Really?
Yeah, love this book. When I write professionally, I really try to adopt the tone of James Clavell. Just really, really well. It's a good tone for writing. If you know what voice is in writing, he's got a fantastic voice. So, yeah, it starts at the end of February, and I'm just really jazzed to see how that comes out. So you're not familiar with it, so
no, I'm just
you
excited
got nothing to say.
I'm just excited. Deadpool with Wolverine's coming out in July. You know, a little less sophisticated.
Well, yeah, the Deadpool's out. I'm getting dragged much against my will into watching the Yellowstone. And then it turns out Yellowstone's got like a prequel, and then there's a prequel to the prequel.
Got 1883, 1923,
1923.
And then the original Yellowstone. Oh, it's great shows. 1923, I think, is better than 1883. I have a hard time with
I've heard that.
Tim McGraw and what's his wife's name? Country singer from Star. What? Faith Hill. Yeah,
Who can keep up?
You know, I mean, although it's not that bad. 1883 is pretty good, but 1923 is really 1923. I think is better than the actual Yellowstone.
Is it good enough where they have seasons, or is it just
There's
like
only
a five?
There's one season of 1923, but I think they had a problem with the writer strike and all that stuff, so it's delayed. But there's going to be a second season of 1923. It's good. It really is. I haven't actually seen the end of Yellowstone, but I'm going to binge watch it here for too long. But you know, I think they're stopping at season 5. I know Kevin Costner and Tyler Sheridan, the fellow who wrote it, got into a squabble and had to part ways. But it's a great show. Makes me want to go to Montana.
Have you not been?
I've never been to Montana. Like to do some fly fishing up there, but one day.
Well, the rumor has it that you went somewhere else last weekend. That's the reason you couldn't be here, and I had to fly solo, as you went to a place of deep, deep shame.
No, I didn't actually. No,
I heard that you did.
Did
No?
what?
I heard you went to a magical place in Orlando.
Why did I?
Oh, you did not.
Oh, no. The rumor.
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
I have
damn,
been.
There goes. Okay. Well, thanks for tuning in, because that was going to be the rest of the show, was judging you.
I tell you what,
on going to a magical place.
I can pretend I went.
Well, I know how you are about going to the magical place, and I do judge you for that.
Well, I mean, again, I guess it is like one of those things where the criminal gets pulled over, and he went into this particular drug house that you bought drugs in every time, and he goes, "Oh, this time I didn't."
The one time.
Nobody believes him.
Yeah.
And so when you see that I'm going to the state of Florida,
what else
beach,
can you expect that you're gonna do?
And I have been to Disney World 92 times, and that's only a slight exaggeration that you would assume that, but no, we went to an undisclosed location outside of the Orlando area.
But somewhere in Florida.
We, you know, because we go down there and go kayaking and stuff a lot. Like we were down to Crystal River and Rainbow River and all that kind of stuff. So that's the beauty of going down to Florida this time of year. It's still quite temperate. But for purposes of this podcast, Disney World was great, David. Go.
What'd you do?
Oh, we went to Small World over and over again.
What is the attraction of the place that you could have gone to, and I still kind of think you did, and you just don't want to admit to it because of the shame.
Well, I mean, that's a plausible theory, Dave. No, and I have been, 12 or 13 times.
No, are you being for real?
For real.
Okay, well, what's the thrill?
I was married at Disney World, David.
Yeah. No. Are you
No.
serious?
I'm sorry. I wasn't married there. I honeymooned there.
I'm not sure which is worse.
I don't either. But
Were you 12 years old at the time? I mean, how do you explain that?
Well, you know, the former wife was a big Disney fan, and I'm not. I'm not going. I'm actually not going to criticize that at any. I mean, it's more than I would have done for sure, but I'm still a firm believer that when the kids are small, Disney World's great.
But you've gone without children of your own
multiple times.
You have an alibi for us? Do you have an explanation of how that's not kind of weird?
I mean,
it's a little weird.
Let me try a beaver nugget here. Maybe it'll help. But how's that for show?
Is that what you're thinking?
Yeah.
Oh, by the way, I got a show idea. I was at Kroger's. I'm giving you time to think about your answer.
Is it Kroger's or Kroger?
It's Kroger's. It is.
Oh, no.
Okay, well, I was at Kroger's.
Okay, Dave.
And I was at
Where were you,
Kroger's.
David's? Where were you?
Calm down.
Okay.
And they had Girl Scout cookies with an S. Yes, they did.
Everywhere.
Yes, they did. And I thought about you, and I thought about how little money they're going to make because they're only there for 2 weeks. But yeah, I'm always thinking about the show because I exist to make this work. And I thought what I should do is get one box, and since you're having a not corn nugget, beaver nuggets.
Beaver nugget. This is like a Bucky's buffet over here.
Yeah. Since you're having a tasting extravagant, by the way, that's the perfect show for a couple of older guys. Is we just eat during the entire show. I mean, that fits. But what we ought to have is just buy one box of each cookie and have a sampling show and decide, okay, which really is the best. So I went one step further, basically bought one case of each because they're only on sale for 2 weeks. And
that's a great idea.
What do you do? What do you do the other 50 weeks? So,
all right, Disney World.
Okay, how do you've been there enough times where you've ridden all the rides? I would think that you want to ride anyway.
Right.
You've seen all the exhibitions that you want to see. You've been to all the parks by now. I mean, you've done the deal. You know the deal. How do you explain just going back over and over as an adult without kids? What's the secret sauce here?
For the record, it was only 3 or 4 times without kids.
Only 3 or 4. And a week per trip, I'm going to take it.
Yeah.
So 28 days.
$3.2 million spent at Disney currently.
Yeah, 28 days of Disney without kids. After you've been there plenty of times, how do you explain it?
That was before. No, we went before because like our honeymoon stayed at the Contemporary resort, and it's a really nice resort. And then obviously you have kids, but 3 or 4 times just trips down there because, look, it wouldn't have been what I necessarily would have done, but she certainly enjoyed it, and I can see it. The draw is if you go there, you stay in a resort. I mean, it's almost as if you're in your own little world. You park the car for a week, and
don't spill them.
I spilled the beaver nuggets. Doggone it. Great eating. It's fine. It really is. It's wonderful eating. I like to eat. I do.
You could just stroll around Bucky's for 28
Well, that's
days.
what I do now. Right. That's what I do now. And then obviously with the kids, it's a whole new ball game. And it really is quite good for them. Probably we went too much. Now, I don't plan on going ever again. Maybe grandkids or something.
Okay.
But it would be something like that. But I mean, I
You're
would
finally burned out.
Oh yeah, I was burned out many times ago. I actually went. The last time was 2015, 2016 was the last time. So it's been 7 or 8 years, and I'm fine with that. And plus, you know, they are part of the woke Marxist plot to subvert all that is
Kids?
all that is good and decent in the world. So.
What do you care? I mean, do,
You-
do they run up to you at the park and
Yeah,
make
they-
you vote for the wrong candidate? Do they
I think subliminally, probably. Yeah.
take your money from you?
They do take your money. They
Yeah,
definitely
that
do
proves
that.
that proves
I
they're
mean,
capitalists.
oh well, you know.
See?
Fair enough, but you know, the Southern Baptists have boycotted them on multiple occasions.
Oh, they
so
boycott everybody.
I understand, but yeah, I mean, you try to watch a Disney movie nowadays, it's almost impossible to make you want to watch Barbie.
Well, why would you watch a Disney? I mean, you're a grown man. All the kids' entertainment, I guess it's okay when you're kids, and they always throw a little something in there for the adults that the kids miss.
You don't occasionally
I
throw
get
on the
that.
Lion King on a Friday night?
No,
Jeez.
no, I hadn't watched an animated movie in, I mean, since my kids were 9, 10 years old.
You don't watch cartoons?
No. I mean, look, my kids were of that age back in the time when people had VHS tape collections and you had all your Disney tapes lined up, and that was kind of your virtual babysitter is, let me pop in The Lion King. Oh, let me pop in Aladdin. And then, as an adult, you go to the other room where there's a TV and you can watch, sports or whatever.
What about cartoon shows like South Park or King of the Hill or
Yeah.
Aqua Teen Hunger Force?
No, I'm assuming you just made that up. But is that really that's really a show?
Oh, that was back in the day in college when drugs didn't do anything to me.
No, I watched South Park and I watched like the first season or two of Archer, and I thought it was really good, and then it just kind of jumped the shark. And I'm not against cartoons per se, but watching show enough kid entertainment that is geared for kids, that you sit with kids to watch, or going to Disney on Ice. I've seen that there are adults who just go as adults. They're not escorting kids, and I don't get it. In Disney World without kids, I'm sorry, I don't get that. That just seems odd to me.
I mean, it's inadvisable, but I mean, there's worse places, but it's much, much, much better with kids. Much. But I'm still disappointed you don't know what Aqua Teen Hunger Force is.
What is it?
Is there a picture? It's hard to. It's
Both, but you know what it is.
It's a
too.
milkshake, French fries, and a meatball.
You're on drugs right now, aren't you? Wow. Okay.
No, I mean,
We'll keep going.
I mean-
while we pull. Oh my God, it is.
I told you.
Oh my God, it is.
It's probably. Yep, there we go.
Oh, that's the weirdest thing ever.
Yeah, I mean, it's probably one of the greatest things that was ever produced and put on TV. And there's no doubt, drugs might not have any effect on me, but whoever thought that idea up and wrote the screenplay, psychedelics.
Well, yeah. I mean, so was SpongeBob.
Honestly.
I mean, the idea of those characters and that location for a show, who without a chemically altered brain could come up with that idea?
Mm. Yeah, I heard Joe Rogan talk about the evolution of music between the 50s and the 60s, and how different music went from the 50s and the 60s. You just had just the suits and whatever. And even the Beatles, even if you look at the Beatles in 50s and 60s, and you get into Hendrix and Joplin and all that kind of stuff, it was directly related or a causation of the rise of psychedelics. And that the creative outburst from unlocking the brains with psychedelics and the like reached a different artistic level, that coincided with the breakthrough of music and variety of music and rock and roll and the like. It's a theory.
Well, I mean, it's just the whole drug culture and everything changed. And you're right. All the Beatles had was long hair in 1964 when they're over on the Ed Sullivan Show. And, and all of culture got drugged up. And I've always thought that the interesting irony of that period of time was everybody talked about how they're going to break free of the revolution or they're going to have a revolution and they're going to break free from the establishment and they're going to join the counterculture and they're not going to wear the square clothes anymore. So they're going to get their counterculture clothes, which are at Sears, and you can you can go to Sears and Kmart and buy your counterculture clothes because everybody dressed exactly the same way to prove that they were individuals. Like all the individual clothes were exactly the same, with the vest and the leather and the long hair.
It's hard to be a radical,
It's hard to be your own person.
It really is. It reminds me there was a witness before the Senate, some Senate committee, and a senator from Oklahoma. His name doesn't matter, but there was this young environmental activist who just emphatically called for the cessation of plastic production. By God, plastics are just killing us. And she's got a water bottle that she brought in. And he goes, "What's the top of that water bottle made of?" "Plastics." And he goes, "What are you going to do about those glasses?" She's wearing reading glasses. "Plastic." That phone that you got sitting right there, she had her cell phone. Plastic components, plastic case. The whole point is it's so easy to.
It's hard to be an individual. Try driving a car that nobody respects. It's people will laugh so hard at you.
Now that is an escapable station in life. I wonder if anybody has actually escaped.
But if you are a true individualist, you'll say, you know what? I like this car. I'm enjoying driving it, and it doesn't matter what everybody else thinks. This is for me. I'm the one here.
Right.
And I'm going to do my thing. I'm
going to trade it in for a Bronco.
Yeah. So that I can fit in, because here's the truth about being an individualist. It sucks. It's lonely. People look at you. That's no fun.
That was me during COVID.
Yeah. That was hardcore you in COVID.
Being the only person in that store without a mask was quite the endeavor. I just had COVID. I mean, I'm not going to comply.
Yeah, that's not really your thing, is compliance.
No, it's not. It's overrated. You drove that little
4 years
convertible. Yeah, that's not complying with the code of manhood.
No. Well, and God did not hear it. But there's got to be a certain amount of you're gonna do what you're gonna do, and Americans celebrate the individual more than anybody. They celebrate being the bad boy that doesn't follow the rules more than anybody, and it's just part of our cultural DNA that we're going to be that guy, but nobody is enjoying being that guy.
But I will say this: I'd always say in good fun, because I drove a minivan for a year, so. Just don't. I have no street cred on this one. So
sure you want to admit that in public?
I did. It was the man van, I called it. So, but yeah, it was during the poor days, small kids, the man van. So I rode it and I rocked it. I put the man back in van. And one last thing on Disney World, it really is an absolute escape from reality, is what it really is. It's not too much different than going to some all-inclusive resort, even if you don't really like the resort. Heck, it can rain every day. It's just you're away from the world. Yeah, you're almost in an alternate world. It's the happiest place on earth, Dave. Everybody's actually polite. Foods, everything, and and I think that's what it serves for a lot of folks.
Well, maybe it's because of my background, but what I noticed. I've been to Disney World, and as an adult, we did 3 years in a row, all of them in the summer, all of them taking the kids. Yeah, I know. Wrong time to go to Disney World during the summer.
One time in August.
Yeah, that'll teach you. Apparently, it didn't teach me. 3 years in a row, and it's physically demanding. And I was doing this in my late 30s when I was in a lot better shape, and it was still very physically demanding. I didn't see happy people there, and again, maybe because of my background, but what I could not stop noticing was the intense hatred that I saw husbands and wives having for each other. Because it is so physically just unpleasant that the real of the magical experience that wears off by 10:30 in the morning, and then it's just you and your BS, and I'm so sick of it.
76% of couples that go to Disney World are divorced within the next 12 months.
Yeah, and are in a covert fight while they are there by 2:30 in the afternoon, and they're trying to hold it together for the kids. And did I see some, I guess, parents in there's some out of the way places, like, there's a heavy foot traffic, and then over there's just a couple of trees and nobody's over there. But if you look behind the trees, you'll see the husband and wife just absolutely going after each other's throats. Because they've had it. It was absolutely the part I identified with. I understood why that was happening. So yeah, that also had its own form of dark magic within that kingdom. So yeah, I got it. Anyway, three was enough for me to finally learn my lesson that maybe we could find some other place to go to, like
France,
a desert.
Yeah.
Which would be just as fun, but maybe a little cheaper.
If there was one place you could go to visit on the earth right now for
I've thought about
10
that.
days.
Yeah, I've thought about that, and I can't come up with an answer. I can't think of a place that would be this would just be the coolest place to go. I always thought, well, going to Paris would be great, and it is, and I like going there. But I've been there enough to have developed a certain amount of, okay, I got it. I've seen it. I've done it. There's still a lot more that I would like to do in France. But, I'm not really geeked out about it the way that I was, going to Paris. So I've never been to London. I've never been to Berlin. I have no interest in going to Spain. I really want to go to the Netherlands. I think that would be super cool. I would like to go to Switzerland. I've heard Switzerland's very cool. I've heard southern Italy is really, really fine. But as far as I'm jonesing to go there and I really want to go there, really the only thing that I can think of, I'm such a nerd, such a history guy, is I'd love to go to the British Museum and the National Gallery in London. And I mean, that's some high level nerd stuff. And I basically have to take a week off from being married, because I wouldn't dream of asking any good wife to, hey, let's spend a week in the British Museum. I'd love it.
If you are going to ask Bonnie that question, can I be there?
No,
I would like to see that conversation.
Well, the conversation would be, what do you want it? Where will you be? What will you be doing for that week? While I'm looking at the Elgin marbles and the whatever that they have, to me, it would be absolutely fascinating. But I get it. I'm weird that way. I'm lucky that she likes art. But looking at 500-year-old paintings isn't really her jam. Very much is for me, as you know.
Oh yeah.
So that's one of those. I wouldn't try to justify it, but it's what I would like to do. Now, we have a mutual friend who's jonesing for, I want to go see all 7 continents, and I've knocked out 6 of them. I think we've had this conversation.
And she's listening as we speak.
Yeah, and just has Antarctica to go, and I give her all kinds of hell. But, come to think of it, in the course of this conversation, I can get an equal amount of hell for my weird ideas about where I would want to go.
Right. We're going to make fun of her when she gets her all 7, but deep down,
it would be cool.
Yeah, we're going to be like, dang, that's impressive. I'm not going Man, let's keep that a secret amongst us, so she doesn't know that we secretly. I mean, that's amazing, actually.
To me, it'd be a cool thing to have done, but if that was in front of me, you've got to spend 40 hours on an airplane to go to Australia. I'm going to take a hard pass on that. It's only 34 hours to get to Cambodia. I can miss Cambodia.
Well,
like
I think Antarctica would be the one that would do me in, because I mean, you got take a boat up in there, and
I haven't told you this.
What?
No. So apparently there's 2 ways to get to Antarctica.
there is a flight that goes in.
There's a helicopter. You don't fly in airplane. You fly in helicopter. Like all the, think about the geography, and all the oceans kind of drain out. I mean, literally drain out into the, I guess that'd be the Arctic Ocean. No, that can't be right. Whatever the ocean is that surrounds Antarctica, and I don't remember it, but the weather and the storms are incredibly bad.
Right.
And so if you can take a boat there, but you are guaranteed to get brutally seasick. And it is a slow ride because you're fighting storms and waves the whole time. But that is one way to go. That's the cheaper way to go. The other way to go is just go to the southern tip of Argentina and take a helicopter. It's kind of a hike. If you look at a map, it is a hike from there's some distance to be covered, and helicopters are not incredibly fast, but no seasickness. So that's, what I'm told is it's going to be a helicopter ride, an incredibly expensive helicopter ride to go to Antarctica. But, here's my thing. It's cool to be able to say that I went to Antarctica, but what do you do? Now that you're there, to me, it's like, okay, I did it. Check it off the list. I can tell everybody I went. What do you want me to do?
It's like climbing a mountain. You get to the top.
Well, no.
What do? You just accomplished it. Yeah. It's an accomplishment.
Well, the climbing of the mountain is its own deal, and there's a story to it. But it's not much of a story to say I took a helicopter ride to Antarctica. Yeah, okay, well, people take helicopter rides to rigs in the Gulf of Mexico all the time. What's the big deal? So you're not going to impress anybody with that. Okay, we landed, and what did you see? A lot of ice? Yeah, not really surprised there.
A penguin.
Yeah, they got penguins. They've got ice. I've heard it smells bad in Antarctica. I'm not sure why that would be. But I have heard that.
What would smell? And where did you hear that?
I have a wide, vast range of useless information that just floats around in my head. I think I've clearly established that. And one of them is Antarctica has a bad smell, like it's rotting. So is that true? Maybe our friend will find out.
We'll have to ask her.
Yeah, we'll have to ask. But in the meantime, there's ice. I don't know what other wildlife that there is in Antarctica. There's a lot of garbage that I suppose gets left behind, because where exactly are you going to throw it away? And otherwise, what do? You build an igloo? Why? I just don't, other than saying that you went there, and maybe you're some climate researcher, I guess, okay, or, an archaeologist. There is something to be said for that, because they take the core samples and, the ice that's 3,000 years old. Maybe that tells them something about, whatever air quality was back then. But that's not going to be you. You're just a tourist. Okay, you got there. What else are you going to do? Exactly.
I got nothing.
Yeah. So, all right, you can go to Paris, you can go to London, you can go to Antarctica. We've knocked those 3 out. There's really no other place in the world to go to. No? Well, the magical place,
Disney,
the Clear River, whatever that was, with the manatees, whatever that is.
Crystal River.
Yeah, Crystal River.
Absolutely.
We've covered Buckee's.
It's a wonderful place. If you go to Epcot at Disney, you can go to all those countries in one day. You got France, England, Germany, Japan, Mexico, America, Canada.
I love that they have the United States at the Epcot Center.
You think the rest of the place would be America, but no, it's not. So that's the abridged version of what our friends doing. You can go all over the place. I want to. Well, I mean, Alaska. I know it's not all that extravagant, but I mean, Alaska's always intrigued me greatly. And that's liable to happen here soon. And Mongolia and floating the Amazon.
You're joking. You want to go to Mongolia? Why?
Wouldn't it? Genghis Khan, man. I mean, just I've been fascinated with
What of
the
Genghis
Mongolian
Khan?
steppes.
Well, what of that is the fascination?
Well, I mean, he decreased human population
He
by a
did that.
substantial
He did that.
amount. I mean, he literally lowered the carbon footprint for decades to come. And I'm just fascinated by all things Genghis Khan. And
Yeah, but when
Mongolia
you go
is
to
interesting. It's a cheap place to go.
Is it not part of China?
It's
Kind of between China and
yeah, it's off.
I guess now it's Russia.
Yeah, it's up there. I think it's its own thing, but probably solely controlled by China. Don't get me wrong, but I'm intrigued by that, but much less than the other two, Alaska and South America. Love Costa Rica, but been there, done that.
That's right. I forgot.
Love
that.
Belize, been there, done that. But floating down the Amazon, taking a boat down the Amazon, now that would be cool.
You have any actual concrete plans that's what you're going to do?
Oh, one day I'm gonna go down.
It's just one of those. One day I'm going to do it.
Right. Alaska will happen soon. Amazon's more the 5-year plan.
You're not worried about the tarantulas that are as big as that chair that you're sitting in, or the snakes that are big enough to eat that chair that you're sitting in.
And I think that's actually where my fascination came from. Is I swear, and I don't even understand it. All my whole life, I've watched every anaconda documentary that has ever been done, up into the American classic starring Ice Cube, Anaconda, the movie. I just anaconda, huge stakes fascinate me, and so I would love to see an anaconda.
Well, you love you some '80s culture more than anybody I know.
Well, look, that was
Dropping an Ice Cube reference
Man,
that came out of the sky.
well. I mean, have you never seen Anaconda?
No.
Anaconda 2?
No, none of those.
With John Voight and
No,
Ice Cube.
missed out on all that.
I mean,
I missed, the '80s.
Sharknado.
The '80s and the '90s were the big action hero movie decades, and that led to the superhero comic book. Are you that bored? The superhero comic book movies, and I took a pass on all of that. Just kind of like I took a pass on the Disney movies, other than to entertain my kids. The only popular, let's all go see it movies that I can even think of that I went to go see were the Harry Potter movies. We went to all of those when they came out, and I enjoyed them.
I fought the Harry Potter thing so hard.
Why?
I thought it was
was great.
Stupidest thing ever. I was wrong. At some point, my daughter got into Harry Potter.
Yeah.
And she made me sit down and watch every one of them. And it's quite enjoyable.
Yeah.
I changed my tune completely. I even went to the movies with her. So Beasts, what is it? Incredible Beasts.
Whichever one that came out after, okay, we've done all the all the books, we've done it, and now it's just a money grab.
Right.
So far as I can tell.
But
I didn't go see that.
even it wasn't that bad. But all the Harry Potter was quite good. I mean, I had no complaints at all. And that I was dead wrong. I thought it was just the stupidest thing ever.
Yeah, we saw 7 books, read all 7 books, 8 movies on the 7 books, saw all 8 movies at the theater, enjoyed it. But other than that, I missed kind of the cartoony superheroes, super action movie. there was a time when Van Damme and Sylvester Stallone and Schwarzenegger and you can probably think of a few more. They were all just making those super muscle guy.
Steven
Seagal, yeah. And it was the same plot over and over again. You killed my wife, you killed my family, and I'm a cop, and or I'm a divorced cop, doesn't get along with my ex-wife, although she's secretly still attracted to me, and the head cop, like the police captain, he hates me because I'm a bad guy that doesn't follow the rules. So again, very American. And,
so you do like those?
Well, I know what they are. You've seen one, and you pretty much got the plot line down, and then it's just, can we think of creative ways for the bad guy to get his?
It's like the whole concept of John Wick.
Yeah, which again, hadn't seen John Wick, but I assume that it's kind of the same thing of, the guy's a bad, and it's always, we
got homework, David.
Look, it's always the same scene where, they'll always start the movie with the same scene, which is, you got all the bullies that walk into the bar, walk into the restaurant, or walk into the wherever, and one guy sitting by himself, and, they're bullies and they're talking trash to the other people and throwing them around. And then the one guy is like, y'all really need to leave. You've had your fun. And of course, it turns out that he can beat up 12 people all by himself, but he's so quiet and humble that they don't know it and they make fun of him. But boy, they get theirs. I mean, it's the most American thing in the world.
You have to watch John Wick then. John Wick.
Because is that what that is? No, is that what it is?
Except he can kill hundreds.
Okay, well, hundreds of people. I mean,
hundreds.
It's just
in every imaginable way.
Yeah, so it's a marriage of
somebody killed his dog.
Okay, well, it's a marriage of a 1985 action hero with the other genre, which is horror movies, which are disguised comedies. Horror movies are disguised comedies where the idea is, how can people get killed in the most imaginative ways possible? You marry those two up, and I'm betting you have John Wick movies. And how far off am I?
You're not that
about
far
right.
I mean, but it's special. You have to watch one before the next podcast.
Okay.
And you see how close you are to it. But I mean, it's a different level of a killing machine.
Okay, will be John Wick kills Dave Chappelle.
We're not gonna have
the total marriage of bad culture, and that'll be probably either that'll be how we start off the next show, or it'll be taking calls from ex-wives on air. Will be part of that. Yeah, I also think that would be a great episode.
We have those capabilities.
Yeah. Oops, we lost the call. Oh, I got a dial tone. I don't know what happened. Maybe next time.
Yeah, you'll have to have the bleep button ready to go.
How about you, Dave?
Yeah, I think all three of us will have to have
It's like maybe running for cover on that one. But what else is on the agenda, Dave?
I think we've hit the end of it. The whole time that we're talking, I've got this idea in the back of my head. Is there anything here that's going to get 18 million views?
Let's talk about annuities.
Yeah. And who knew that Annuity Talk could get 18 million views? But if you have the wrong hair color, I think we're going to be out of luck on this.
Well, I mean, I could say something controversial if you'd like.
You got something in the chamber?
No, I mean, I could always chamber something. I mean, we could talk about J.K. We talked about Harry Potter. We could have gone to J.K. Rowling being a TERF, and
what is that?
Trans exclusionary, radical feminist.
In regular terms, what is that?
All right, that is somebody who, J.K. Rowling is a noted British author and feminist, a women's rights activist.
Everybody knows who she is, I think.
Well, I didn't know if everybody would know she's big into feminist causes and the like.
Good for her.
And she also came to certain statements talking about that you should have to actually be a woman to, an actual biological woman with the actual real fears of, issues involved with a woman, physical and mental, and just growing up as an actual woman means something that you just can't be a man all your life and just say, oh, I'm the whole trans thing. And that's why it's trans exclusionary.
Yeah, that's an interesting point. The saying that I've heard is a man's worst fear is that a woman will laugh at him, and a woman's worst fear is that a man will kill her.
Right, and there is we walk to a car at 12 o'clock at night. We just walk to the car.
Sure.
A woman, that's a different thing. I mean, according to women, and even down to certain biological processes that even happen every year, or childbirth, or just having to live with female hormones your whole life.
Sure.
That is formative. That is not something that you can just skip and then go, hey, I'm a woman now. Now you can and I think J.K. Rowling has said it. I don't care what grown folks do. It's just like us. Who cares what grown folks do? But don't play pretend and act like we're supposed to go along with it.
Okay.
You play pretend, but over there by yourself. Don't make me come play. And I think that's where the turf thing came from. That they're feminist, women's rights, but biological women's rights. You have your own, but you can't say you're a woman like I'm a woman. Because I'm actually a woman. Like every cell in my body is a woman. You are whatever you want to say you are. And so that's the turf term. It's a derisive a term by the trans folks. So I'm team turf. So there you go.
Okay. Well,
is that right?
If that's the argument, that seems like a very one-sided argument.
I mean,
I
you would think.
I can't imagine what the other side of that.
I can't imagine it either. It was like that Admiral Levine winning Woman of the Year. Other than the fact that she spent the first 50 plus years as a man. I'm just going to say, if you're up for Woman of the Year, let's at least have 10 or 15 years of practice at it before you win it right off the bat, because that becomes a very that's almost sexist. I mean, men are so good that we can win Women of the Year immediately.
Yeah.
I mean,
none of the women. None of the women could be as good as a man.
1 year
who became a woman.
I know.
Yeah.
We only take a few years. We are so good at this.
Yeah.
We dominate womanhood.
Well,
right off the bat.
Yeah. Well, if we're anything, we're defenders of the patriarchy.
Yeah. I mean, it is literally the patriarchy that a man comes in and wins Woman of the Year right off the bat.
I feel good about it.
Yeah.
I'm liking that.
Yeah, this is like Al Bundy's woman hating club here. But I mean, I think the trans, it really is that kind of mindset that whatever. The first 50 years, what did that matter? Grown up and worrying about your looks and all that stuff and all the insecurity. I have no earthly idea how teen girls make it nowadays. I got a teenage daughter right now.
Yeah,
it's just.
Especially with social media.
It's
no
terrible.
Way.
It is tough on parents, but I cannot even. I mean, and to say that doesn't inform what she grows up to be as a woman, is ludicrous.
Yeah, no.
It is tough, and so there you go.
All right. Well, I really don't know where to go from there.
Yeah, we have our little the controversial last.
All right, well, that'll
10
be your
minutes
homework
or-
is coming up with controversy.
I can do that. I don't need that. You watch John Wick. I'll come back with some more Buccee stuff. I got some more.
It's also credible.
And there you go.
All right. Well, thanks again to everybody for listening, and we'll see you next week.